Okay, thanks. We will recruit some of their own to carry out our plans. We will promise them eternal life, but eternal life they will never have, for they are not of us. The recruits will be called initiates and will be indoctrinated to believe false rites of passage to higher realms. Members of these groups will think they are one with us, never knowing the truth. They must never learn this truth, for they will turn against us. For their work, they will be rewarded with earthly things and great titles, but never will they become immortal and join us. Never will they receive the light and travel the stars. They will never reach the higher realms, for the killing of their own kind will prevent passage to the realm of enlightenment. This they will never know. So when you see in the media that Blair has raked in 20 million since leaving office, he is your archetypal capo. He is the guy who is used to control the masses, but he's not part of the inner sanctum. He is total ego-driven. It's the ego sociopsychopath. And then we see, this breakdown. I introduced this because this is from today's media, and of course, everything we've just heard from Robert Greene, and I've introduced in previous talks, some documentation that's come out of Germany and is still available in Switzerland, which effectively encourages incestuous paedophilia. What we're doing here is we're desensitizing our youth by introducing them to, as you see here, families hit by BBC filth. It's just completely outrageous. This is inside. Children as young as 5 are watching horrific post-watershed TV scenes of sex and violence at the click of a button because it's on iPlayer. Is it any wonder that we've got young men of 18, 19 who go to work, they go into a hangar and they sit in a chair with a couple of joysticks and they're flying unmanned drones around Pakistan and annihilating their enemies. And to them, it's just like playing an Xbox game at home. It's completely desensitizing our youth. And it's the youth that we need to really think about protecting, not ourselves. These guys aren't actually worried about us, other than the fact that we might just wake a few people up. They're not actually worried about us. The real target is the youth. We will focus their attention towards money and material goods so that they may never connect with their inner self. We will distract them with fornication. Now, this is a very interesting word, fornication, because fornication does not mean sex. Fornication means sex between species. That is the etymological background. External pleasures and games so that they may never be one with the oneness of it all. Their minds will belong to us and they will do as we say. If they refuse, we shall find ways to implement mind-altering technology into their lives. We will use fear as our weapon. Does any of this ring true? Funny that. Now, over the next few weeks and months, we are going to see the real shit hit the fan. If anybody thinks there's been a financial meltdown, you ain't seen nothing yet. If anybody does have disposable or liquid assets, look very, very carefully at what you do with them. Because there is a game plan to completely decimate the financial independence of, let's say, the middle classes, but the financial independence of anybody. This is going to be caused either through massive inflation, maybe starting in the US, and then quickly following into Europe. All the signs are there. All the signs are there. We've got foreclosures in the US running at 25, 30% in some parts. There's tent cities in most of the major cities in the US, to say nothing of the likes of Detroit, which has just become an industrial wasteland. The crash is coming. Look at commodities. Look at moving. If you have any liquidity, look at moving it into something that can traditionally survive this kind of meltdown. What is happening is going to lead to violence on the streets. It's already happening in countries. It's already happening in Greece. I don't really understand. Of course, it was happening in Iceland. I don't really understand yet why it isn't happening in places like Ireland, Italy, Portugal, and Spain, because those countries are also on the brink of total collapse, financial collapse, and Britain isn't far behind. Actually, what is happening right now is the true magnitude of the state of financial play in this country is being deliberately hidden, just as it was in Greece by Lehman Brothers, just as it was in Greece. Sorry, it was Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs were manipulating the Greece budget. They'll suppress it here until the election. And after the election, all hell will break loose. Now, they might manage to suppress it for a few weeks through the summer. If it hasn't happened by the end of the summer, the real period of risk is going to be between mid-September and mid-November. But I cannot see, and I'm not the only one, by the way, I cannot see really any way in which the global economy can be propped up beyond that. Now, when this happens, let me tell you, this is not for us to get involved. Okay? I mean, that has to be clearly understood. This is not for us. This is going to be the reaction of the people who have no awareness, who have no insight into what's occurring, because they are going to go through the anger and the fear. Because not only are they going to have no money, because the banks are going to close. I mean, by the way, it's already been announced in the US. Citibank have sent letters out to all of their customers stating that there may, in the future, be occasion where the bank needs to close its doors for up to 7 days. And it just leaves the people to decide what it is they want to do about that. But this may well be the reaction, because we're going to see a meltdown in terms of the employment market. So people aren't going to have employment, and they're not going to have access to funds because of bank meltdown. They're going to find it very difficult to get food. So this, unfortunately, has to happen. This is part of the alchemical process. It's solve et coagular. You have to destroy to be able to rebuild. And it's an unfortunate fact of life that but in the microcosm, we learn way more when we go through personal trauma. And each time we go through personal trauma, it's like an initiation. We have to embody it. We have to embrace it. We have to work our way through it. We have to channel that energy. And then, like the phoenix, we have to build, from that new foundation. We will focus their attention toward money and material goods that they may never connect with their inner self. There has never been probably a time in known history when it's been more important for us to identify with this and to do whatever it is that we need to do to make that reconnect with our inner self, with our higher self. We've got to step through the emotion of what's occurring here and start to look at things perhaps on a much deeper level. And I'm going to bring this to a conclusion in a second, but this is the document. The Secret Covenant. Now, I've only quoted little pieces of it. We have no idea of the true origins of this document. And like the Protocols of Zion, it has been dismissed as a forgery. But it is extremely prescient. And this appeared out of the blue on this website, bankindex.com, on the 21st of June, 2002. Less than 1 year after 9/11. After the invasion of Afghanistan, but before the invasion of Iraq. Go Google The Secret Covenant. Go read it. It's part of a script. If it is a forgery, it's a bloody good one. And it's extremely prescient. Now, you remember when I opened the conference on Friday, and I introduced the Daily Express, and the article that appeared on the front page of the Daily Express, the new EU Gestapo spies on Britons. And a couple of quotes that I want to point out to you. The EU police force. This could include covert monitoring of people who deny the existence of climate change and speak out on controversial issues.